Mike, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are we?
I notice you have the full broadcast unit now installed in at the estate on the Cape. So
I do have the full broadcast unit installed, but I've got a really short mic cord, so I'm actually standing up. I feel like a wedding singer or something.
Where do you have it in the home?
It's near the router upstairs, and my wife uses this room as her office, but I'm sort of infringing.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure that you want her to keep working so she can pay some of the bills. So I just don't interfere with that process.
No question.
By the way, did our operations manager Ken Laird come down and install that personally in your home?
Yes, he did. He did it professionally, efficiently, and quickly.
Did you check to make sure you had all the silverware and stuff when he left? Or
No, he was good. He was fine.
Did you offer him a bottle of water?
Didn't offer him a damn thing. Just showed him the door on the way out.
I feel like my wife always says that to me. People come over. Make sure you offer him a bottle of water.
Really?
Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, I guess it's nice.
You want something to
people
drink?
Probably don't. I mean, would people accept a bottle of water?
Always.
We're in the middle of a pandemic.
I feel like when they're doing some type of work there, it's like, hey, would you like something to drink?
Mike, did Ken use the
There was a hockey game last night, you know.
Yeah, yes, there was. Well, wait, we didn't find. How was the rest of your summer? We haven't really spoken to you.
It was good. It was a great summer. The weather was terrific. It was just, it's great to be. I'm a mile from the beach, a couple miles from the golf course where I embarrass myself from time to time.
Not bad.
All right. Maybe we should do like we should invite all the listeners down and you can host everybody at your club. What do you think of that? I mean, I'll
think about it for a while.
I mean, I did it at Granite Links. I feel like it's only fair that you do it. You do it. Pick up everybody's tab, and we'll do golf at.
Well, we'll get through the winter season, and then we'll think about it in the spring. How's that?
All right, that sounds good. All right, yes. Well, there was a game last night, and the fellas went out there and they got win number 1 for Patrice. So, what did you see last night, Mike?
You know, you want to win the first game. It's sort of a downer. You're working hard in training camp and all summer to get ready for the first game, and if you don't put it in the win column, you know, you can get over it, but it's kind of nice. It's sort of uplifting, and I thought they started really well. Bergeron gets his goal, no problem. Pastrňák was, you know, he's Pastrňák. I don't know how many millions he's going to get, but the Bruins are going to have to start north of 10 to sign this guy. There's no question about it. And,
Wiggy was saying 11 earlier. He thinks gets it done.
Well, you know, if you're him, you certainly want the money, but and he's having fun playing with Krejci right now, but is Krejci going to be there next year?
Right.
Or is he going to be there 2 years from now? That has to factor into his thinking. But if he wants just to get the best dollar amount, then, you know, if I were his agent, I'd be starting at 10.5, 11 million. You're right. Yeah. I think Wiggy's right. That's the ballpark.
So, and in your guess about, you know, about what he's waiting for, he and his agent, are they waiting to see? I mean, you start the season with a 4-point game last night. I'm guessing you're going to have a pretty good season. Are they waiting for that, or do you think they're waiting to see what the Bruins team is going to look like next year? Or do you think the Bruins were way off when it came to the first couple of go-rounds at a number-wise? I don't know.
You know, it's hard for me to say not knowing what the Bruins offered. But if they went like $8 million, that sort of would be hard to say that this with a straight face, but that would be sort of insulting to Pastrňák. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know what it was in terms of an offer. But if they tried to lowball him in any fashion, that can irritate somebody, but it's only a guess that they're in the ballpark of 9.5, 10.5 million. They should be. If they're not, they're flirting with losing him and ticking him off. But clearly, he's not a guy that's going to. He doesn't seem to feel the pressure, right? I mean, last night is typically loosey-goosey and played brilliantly, and that's a great start for him and a sort of a shot across the bow to Bruins management. They better get this done.
I know it's only one game, but did that team, it looked to me like we were talking earlier about blocking shots and things like that. Did that team look like a team that prefers playing for this coach than their head coach last season to you?
I don't know about that. I saw good players play good games last night. Bergie played a good game. Krejci played a good game. I thought Pastrňák was tremendous. Forbort blocked a lot of shots. But, the good players that you expected to play well and have played well in the past played well last night. Also, I can tell you that Jim Montgomery wants the team to be a puck possession team and a team that involves their defense. Well, if you look at Mike Riley's game last night, made a beautiful pass to Pastrňák, who then made a great play to Hall for the third goal. He was caught up ice on both of the Washington goals. I mean, really caught up ice. Got a couple of bad breaks because there were some turnovers there, but one of them was made by him. It's risk and reward, and he got burnt a couple of times. So this kind of style is going to take some time. If you're going to go up ice, you better find a way to keep your feet moving and get all the way back in time to defend. Otherwise, you're going to wind up in situations like they did last night, which resulted in a couple of fairly easy Washington goals.
Mike, now I know that they don't have Marchand or McAvoy, but how important is it that the Bruins start extremely hot when you start to look at this potentially being Bergeron's last year, maybe Krejci's last year, so you put in their mind that if we start hot, we now become a major player around trade deadline to make a real run at a Stanley Cup?
Listen, I think that I don't know if they don't have to be red hot to start the season, but you're missing two of your very best players, your best defenseman and your best winger or second best winger, however you look at it. But they need to be right in the picture when these guys get back. That means like 3, 4, already in the playoff spot, and then they put the whole team together and see how they ride. That's the way I find it. I mean, I think that I don't think they expect to blow the doors off of everybody, but it's a team that's now back together with some of the old veterans, but missing some key pieces. Stick around, be in the hunt until December 1st, and then ride.
Mike, last season you called the team a pretender, not a contender. Now you look at this, you just talked about the guys that were missing, but you add Krejci, you add Zappe, but it's pretty much the same guys you're running it back with. So from the jump, are you already considering this team a pretender team when it comes to the end?
In fairness, it's not the same team. I mean, you add Hampus Lindholm, and he's a big piece of the puzzle, and we haven't seen enough of him to know what he brings to the table. Zappe comes back, and you add Krejci to the mix, and now you're looking at last night, Taylor Hall was on the top line with Bergeron and DeBrusk, and I don't know what happened to him in terms of injury, but it's a serviceable first line. You got the Czech line that's in the second line. What happens when Marchand comes back? Do you throw Taylor Hall down to the third line with Charlie Coyle and Craig Smith? Pretty damn good third line. So I have higher expectations for this team than I did for the team last year. Do I think they're Stanley Cup contenders? I'm a long way from that yet.
We were talking yesterday about Cam Neely saying that the guys in the locker room seem to feel like they want to, I'm paraphrasing, but they want to do it for Patrice Bergeron. Have you ever been on a team or coached a team or been the GM of a team that is able to elevate their performance from a prior season based on, understanding that it's your captain's last season? I mean, is there a way to elevate? Because Courtney's talking about the addition of Krejci, addition of guys, healthy guys coming back.
Let me stop you right there, Greg. Happy horse poop.
Okay.
It's just not happening. When I go on the ice, I got to play for myself and my teammates, yes, but I'm not worried about his swan song or what we're going to give him for a gift in retirement. We got to play hockey, play games, and everybody respects Bergeron and Krejci, but nobody's worried about their retirement party at this point.
The other thing that happened last night, we saw Linus get the start. If you're in this position and you're the other coach of this team, when do you maybe make the decision on, okay, here's our number one, whether it's Swayman or Linus, but really solidifying so the team knows and that player knows who the number one guy is? When would you kind of make that decision during this year?
Things have changed in terms of goaltender rotation over the years, and it's gone closer to, 60-40 or even 50-50 split until you wind up in the playoffs, and then you pick your horse. But it looks as if they're going to do that at least for a while. I thought Ullmark was good last night, although that second goal was, he almost looked like he invited the 5-hole goal to happen. But I thought he was, generally speaking, as good as I've seen him play. But I think, from what I'm reading in the tea leaves, that they're gonna split the workload, and then sometime down the line make a decision. But I still think it's Swayman that should be the guy that gets the bulk of the work. A younger player, seems to have a little bit more talent, but I will say that Ullmark played pretty well. So the rotation is going to start. I'd say sometime in March. That's when you're going to have to start changing the ratio.
You talked about the new system, Mike, being a lot of risk and reward with Riley being more involved in the offense, but also getting caught up in those turnovers and not being able to get back. Do you see that as a sustainable offensive system? Like, to me, it felt like there were moments where it's like, yeah, there was a lot of offense and you had a lot of possession in the offensive zone, but when the other team breaks out, like, you are just facing odd man rush after odd man rush, especially in that second and third period.
It's a system that needs to be refined. Clearly, you can't send any of the defensemen into the fray without risking something, and so they have to learn what's the appropriate time to join the rush. I mean, actually, in Riley's case, I think Pastrňák could have got the puck through. It got blocked by Sherry, who eventually scored the goal on the second goal. So it was a little bit of bad luck for him. But you still put yourself at risk if you take yourself out of position in order to try to score a goal or aid in the rush and make yourself available as an option. It is a dangerous thing to do, and people have to learn when the appropriate time is to do it. Last night, Riley was a little bit reckless with it.
Mike, when you think of Brad and his return, they're saying the end of November still, but when I hear double hip surgery, that worries me, especially for a guy that's 34. Will this take some time to see him, get the rust off, if you will?
There isn't any doubt in my mind that it's going to take some time, although apparently he feels like he's feeling good and making a lot of progress. They're going to stick to the timetable. But hip surgery, Nick Backstrom in Washington probably won't play again, from what I'm told by people around that team, because he had hip surgery where they had to scrape the bone and get rid of some of the detritus on there. But I think with major injuries like this, with the hip or the knee, it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a year. We'll see how it works out with Brad. I mean, he's a different breed of cat, so he may come at it in a different way, in a more aggressive way. But that's a good thing to be looking out for, or a bad thing to be looking out for.
Mike, you said December 1st, they should be somewhere, whether they're the 3-4 seed, at that point. Let's say they get off to, a slower start in their, 7th, 8th, or maybe they're not even in that position. How do you manage a team like this where you have two key contributors on your team that it potentially could be their last year, or it looks like it's trending that way, if you do get to a position where
you're out of it?
Yeah, where you're maybe out of it. Do these guys then become trade assets, or is it just like, this could be a wash season?
If it gets to that point, and I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think they're a better team than they were last year. Do they have a better future? Not much. They have this year to look at. And so they've put their eggs in this basket, and there are enough eggs in the basket to make me think that they're going to be okay. They're not going to fall completely out of it. I mean, I'll answer that question if it gets to February, but I doubt they're going to trade Patrice Bergeron anytime this year. I doubt they're going to trade David Krejci, both of whom gave them big hometown discounts and sort of tip of their cap to the organization and to the city. So I doubt it. I think this is the team you're going to see in April, whether it's in first place or 8th.
What did you see from that Jake DeBrusk injury?
I didn't really. I mean, he hit into the boards, but it was hard to tell. I don't know if it was. I'm just guessing. It was whether it was head or put his hand out to brace himself. I guess we'll get some word on it sometime today. But it was unfortunate. First game of the year, big season for him. He's a happy camper now that the mean old guy is gone, and all of a sudden he's out. So hopefully not for long.
Mike Milbury, it is great having you back, and we will look forward to talking to you again next Thursday from the estate on Old Cape Cod.
All right. Don't worry, be Zappe, right?
Yeah. I mean, can he skate? I mean, maybe if Mac is back, we'll slide him over to the Bruins.
Yeah, just keep the party rolling. I like the win.
Are you a can't lose your starting job because of injury guy or not?
No, I'm not can't lose your job. If somebody opens the door or you open the door for somebody else and he barges in, well, tough nuts.
All right, Mike, thank you.
All right, see ya.
All right.